Hello everyone, welcome back to another weather forecast video. Today we will be going over the possibility of tropical weather over the next 7 days and the possibility for a multi-day severe weather outbreak in the southern plains. But we're going to start it off with the tropical weather outlook. If you see up here, we have a new named storm, subtropical storm Patty, up here in the north that is not going to affect the U.S. mainland at all. But I thought I should point out that we do have another named storm, so we are up to 16 named storms in the tropical season. And if we're bringing it down here to the Caribbean, we can see we now have a red area shaded in red for a day 2 60% chance and a day 7 80% chance. So it does look like we will likely be getting a tropical system out of this shaded area here, and it's looking more and more likely that it will swing up to the Gulf and try and do something up there, but we are not too sure about the tracker intensity yet, as the storm has yet to form. And then one last thing I wanted to point out here, we do have an area shaded in yellow here for a low chance of tropical development, although this will continue to bring heavy rains and gusty winds to the islands here. But overall, we're mainly going to be watching this area shaded in red for possible future U.S. mainland impacts, and if U.S. mainland impacts are looking more and more likely, I will make a separate forecast video going over that in later outlooks. And we're going to bring it right on over to the Storm Prediction Center so we can get an idea of where they believe the best risk of severe weather will be. And we can see we have a day 1 slight risk for the possibility of large to very large hail here near the New Mexico and Texas border, and then a smaller risk of hail going all the way up into northern Oklahoma. We have a damaging wind threat for the possibility of a line of thunderstorms later today. We have a 15% chance for damaging winds later today. And we have a more elevated tornado threat here near the New Mexico and Texas border with a 5% tornado risk. And then we have a 2% marginal risk of tornadoes extending all the way up into central Oklahoma. So today we will be watching for the possibility of tornadoes over here near the New Mexico and Texas border, as that's the best shot for discrete supercells. Now we do have a day 2 slight risk outlook in a larger area here from central Texas into central Oklahoma, bringing the possibility for large hail, a damaging wind gust threat, as we may see another line of thunderstorms, and a much more large area of a 5% tornado risk. Now, I think tomorrow could be a pretty big day in terms of severe weather, but it is going to be heavily dependent on what storm mode we have. If we have more of a discrete cell storm mode form and move off to the north, I think we could be looking at a higher than a 5% outlook. We could be, reaching near 10% hatched or something like that. But right now, I agree we should stick with a 5% as we are not quite sure about the storm mode quite yet, as tomorrow will be a tough forecast on that storm mode. And then lastly, we do have a slight risk of severe weather going all the way from Missouri all the way down to Texas here, bringing the possibility for damaging winds, tornadoes, and large to very large hail. Now, I think tomorrow or Monday's threat will be damaging wind gusts, as this will be more of a line of thunderstorms moving off, but we still do have that conditional threat of hail and tornadoes. Now, as I was saying, I think Sunday will probably be our biggest day in terms of the tornado potential, as we may see those discrete cells in a pretty ripe environment, as the shear and the SRH will be pretty high in these environments, and the STP, the tornado parameter, will be pretty high tomorrow, as being painted by the HRRR. So I will be monitoring for the possibility of a live stream later today if that tornado threat gets going, and the possibility for a live stream tomorrow, and I cannot be live Monday as I will be busy. Now, if we're bringing it over here to the HRRR, we can look at the simulated radar and get an idea of where our storms may be and what they'll look like. So we can see here that this morning we do have that area of convection off to the north, stabilizing a lot of this environment. And what we're going to look for later is the possibility for this becoming more of a damage and wind threat as it grows into a line. And then we're going to be looking for the environment to be destabilizing here, bringing the possibility for discrete supercells firing off in the south here. And if that were to happen, I think our tornado threat could be a little more elevated, as long as these storms aren't elevated. And the HRRR paints a couple discrete supercells here, which is not what we want to see, as that does increase our tornado threat. And then later, forming into a wind gust threat all the way into Sunday morning. And then, if we drag this out even further, we can see that on Sunday, what we're going to be watching for is that first line of storms pushing through on Sunday morning, and that may that may stabilize the environment. So what we're going to watch for Monday afternoon is once that starts to clear out, we're going to watch for destabilization of the environment as the heating of the day conducts. And if that were to happen, we could be looking at the possibility of discrete supercells firing off here in the south, and then eventually forming into a line, causing the threat for damaging wind gusts. And as you can see, a lot of these areas will have the same storms training over for multiple days, bringing the possible for multiple days of severe weather. And not only that, but multiple days of possible flooding rainfall here in southern all the way up into the Wisconsin area. And then to give you a better idea of that flooding rainfall that I was talking about, you can see here on the GFS, we're going to be looking at the total precipitation in inches over the next couple days. If we drag this out all the way to Thursday of next week, so less than a week from now, you can see that it paints an area from northern Texas all the way up into the Canada area here for the possibility of multiple inches of rainfall as the storms train off in the same area and then move off to the north with that southwesterly flow. So we could be looking at the possibility for flooding rainfall over the next couple days over here in the eastern plains all the way up into the Great Lakes region. And if we drag this out more, you could just see that that area continues to grow as the same thing happens where a trough comes down, the ridge builds, and then that surges moisture up from the Gulf and dumps it all along these areas, spreading all the way up into Canada. So we do have to watch for the possibility of excessive rainfall over the next week here in the U.S. And then the last thing I wanted to look at today before I end this forecast is the excessive rainfall outlook by the Weather Prediction Center. So you can see that we have a slight risk of excessive rainfall, and that means we have a 15% chance of rainfall exceeding flash flood guidance within 25 miles of any given point. So just take it as almost a severe weather outlook. And we have a slight risk of excessive rainfall today for a large area from Texas up into Kansas. Tomorrow we have a moderate area of excessive rainfall as the storms from today and tomorrow will train over this area here, bringing the possibility for excessive rainfall from Wisconsin all the way into Texas. And then we have a large slight risk from Wisconsin all the way down into Texas again for the possibility of more flooding rainfall. So the main story over the next couple of days is the possibility for multiple days of severe weather and possible severe weather outbreaks over the next couple of days. The possibility for excessive rainfall across the U.S. and possible tropical weather causing U.S. mainland impacts eventually into the future. So I'll continue to update you on all of this in future forecast videos, and I will possibly be live later today and tomorrow if that tornado threat becomes elevated. And I hope you guys enjoyed this forecast video, and I hope to see you in the next.